This is something that appeared in the New York Times the other day about violence.
Oh man, I saw this today.
So, according to the New York Times, Palestinian land is now, quote, land long used by Palestinians. They can't even say Palestinian land anymore. They're so dehumanized that their land doesn't even belong to them. Basically, they use the land until a supremacist ethno-state comes along claiming a biblically endowed right to steal their land, and therefore they get to take it from them. And really, it never was theirs because they were just using it. That's the message we're getting from the New York Times. I mean, this is just like the fanaticism is off the charts. Imagine who had to come up with that. Like, I imagine someone probably wrote Palestinian land, and maybe an editor came in and said, "No, sorry, we can't call it Palestinian land anymore. Let's think of a different term." And they came up with land long used by Palestinians.
How do you seize something that isn't owned or rightfully possessed by someone? It says seizures of land long used, so they're contradicting themselves. As an editor, one of the most important things in journalism, particularly in writing headlines and subheads, the teaser, is word economy. But they're extending the sentence to unusual lengths in order to avoid irritating the Israel lobby, and therefore negating not just the Palestinian ownership of this land. A lot of this land is privately owned by Palestinians, like Palestinian shepherds, people who are, own olive groves. I know them who've had their land stolen by settlers. But also under international law, under Resolution 242, the West Bank, all of it is Palestinian. So the New York Times is contravening international law here. I guess this is the rules-based unusual word order. I don't know. This is the paper that constantly says violence rocks Gaza whenever Israel commits a massacre. Violence grows. It's like Gaza rocked by violence. Everything's the passive voice. Yeah. It's like they're talking about like a Jerry Springer episode where people are just feuding and violence suddenly rocks the set. There should, the New York Times has been just absolutely atrocious, even worse than the Washington Post. Yeah. And in an insidious way.
Yeah. But they still gave themselves the Pulitzer Prize for their coverage. The New York Times did. So congratulations to them.
Yeah. They proved that mass sexual assault happened on October 7th before they even obtained the evidence. It was a remarkable journalistic feat. And since then, the evidence hasn't arrived, and only 1 out of 3 reporters responsible for that article has been fired. But they gave themselves the Pulitzer Prize. I think getting the Pulitzer Prize, it's like getting the Nobel Prize. It's like a scarlet letter. It should be like a badge of shame at this point.